Chapter 1. World of Astral Pets. My handsome brother, time to get up. Who is calling me handsome? Wait a minute. Wasn't I sleeping alone?
Who's talking?
Surprised and bewildered, Su Ping quickly opened his eyes. He turned around to take a look. Just one glance almost scared him half to death. Leaning against his pillow was a ghost that was bleeding from all the 7 openings of her face. A twisted smile was ripping her mouth open, revealing ghastly, white teeth. What the F*** CK. Trembling, Su Ping gave the ghost a backhand slap. His hand went straight through the ghost's face and landed on the soft pillow. It was just like fanning the air. The ghost grinned a bit and stuck out her scarlet tongue. Su Ping was terrified. He hastened to turn around and flee. However, he didn't pay attention due to panic. His hand was misplaced, and he fell off the bed face first on the ground. It hurts. Su Ping felt his nose was broken, and the pain caused a burning sensation. That being said, he then felt cold all over his body once he thought about the horrifying ghost again. PFF. It seemed as if someone was trying to hold back, but failed. There was a burst of laughter coming from the side. Su Ping shivered from fear. Was the ghost laughing? Ha, ha, ha. Su Ping, are you trying to kill me with laughter? How hopelessly spineless can you be, to be frightened like this? The laughter came from the side of the room. Su Ping was startled. He turned around. At the foot of the bed stood a delicate and cute girl with bright eyes and white teeth, wearing orange pajamas with cartoon characters. She was pretty, but at the moment she was laughing so hard that the word beauty no longer had anything to do with her. What is going on? Su Ping was confused. Then, he suddenly noticed there was something different about the environment of the room. The first thing that jumped out was a huge poster of a monster on the wall behind the girl. That had to be a poster from some movie. This was not his room. Su Ping never had the habit of putting up posters in his room. Where was the ghost girl? Upon remembering the shock she had given him when he woke up, he quickly turned his head to look. There was nothing on the bed. The ghost girl was gone. Did she leave? Su Ping was in a daze. He was just about to breathe in relief. And yet, all of a sudden, a black figure whooshed out from under his blanket. It was a black cat. It was more of a rolling than a whooshing out. The cat was so chubby that it was practically a ball. Snowball, come here, the girl said to the black cat. Hearing her voice, the black cat spared no effort in struggling with its 4 limbs to stand, finally turning around from its belly-up position. The cat shook its fur for a bit, threw a glance to Su Ping, who was still cowering on the ground, and walked toward the girl with graceful little steps. Maybe he was just imagining things, but Su Ping thought he was being despised by a cat. At that moment, Su Ping suddenly noticed 2 sharp horns on the head of the black cat. There were a few strands of dark red hair on its forehead, forming something like a circle of flames. A question mark slowly emerged above Su Ping's head. Buzzing. Suddenly, as if space and time were quivering, Su Ping's vision blurred. Like flood currents, countless pieces of information were surging in his head from all sides. Su Ping? Su Lingwei. Astral Pets. Another world? The information that came in a continuous stream was confusing and overwhelming. Su Ping felt his head was about to explode, and the pain was unbearable. He had to clench his teeth to somewhat hold back the urge to utter a sound. He didn't know how long it took before the messy storm of information in his head gradually quieted down. Some clips of memory emerged in an orderly manner along the timeline. He had been transported to another world. Su Ping came to the realization. No wonder he was in this unfamiliar room with that strange girl and the odd cat. However, I was just curling up at home to sleep. How could I be transported to another world like this? Was it because I used my hand for some pre-sleep exercise? Inside, Su Ping was smiling bitterly. He began to sort through the memories in his mind. This is a world similar to Earth, but the technology is more advanced, already having entered the era of interstellar travels, reaching far beyond the Earth. At the same time, the focus here is not technological development, but the unique astral pets. Astral pets come in great variety and have everything to do with human society. There are tool pets who are in charge of infrastructure, transportation, and work in daily life, even in scientific research. Battle pets are responsible for pioneering new frontiers amongst the stars, and they also offer support in wars. When it comes to battles and status classification of major countries, the might of the battle pets is the decisive factor. Astral pets. Su Ping indulged himself in those memory clips. The more he knew, the more shocked he was. He then understood what that ghost girl was about. Battle pet of the demon family, the Phantom Flame Beast's main ability is to construct illusions and manipulate fire elements. This Phantom Flame Beast was that strange cat, a ferocious and tough battle pet of the demon family. This was an astral pet that was proficient both in spirit control and element control, a rare kind that could cost an arm and a leg. Su Ping couldn't believe that his younger sister Su Lingyue would use such a rare astral pet just to trick him every day. Once he finished browsing through the memories of his body's original owner, Su Ping found this life both funny and annoying. This brother and sister were such a quarrelsome pair. They mutually couldn't stand the sight of the other since young. At first, Su Ping was the one who often played pranks to bully and scare his younger sister. However, the tables had turned as they grew up. It was Su Ping's turn to spend his days on tenterhooks. The trigger for such a change was because they had entered different schools when they were 12. One of them went to a common trade school. The other went to the Academy of Astral Pet Warriors. In a world that was centered on astral pets, not everyone could become an astral pet warrior. Only the ones that were well endowed at birth could build contracts with astral pets. It was determined at birth that the former Su Ping didn't have such talent, which meant that he was destined to be a normal person. But, in their childhood, this pair of brother and sister didn't understand this concept. Therefore, the talented Su Lingyue had always been the one on the receiving end, being constantly bullied by Su Ping, who had no talent to train astral pets. Once they realized the difference between them, the disastrous life for Su Ping had finally begun. This younger sister of his was not one to be taken lightly. She harbored a bitter resentment due to all the times she had been bullied by her big brother. She had been repaying him that kindness by several folds over the years. At the present day, the gap between them had widened even more. One of them was a genius girl who was enrolled in a famous school with a promising future ahead of her, while the other couldn't even get into an average university. He would have to drop out of school to help out the family and the business. Well, what are you doing there? You didn't damage your head with the fall, did you? Su Lingyue felt something was unusual as she stared at the dumbstruck Su Ping, who was sitting on the ground. She frowned, since she remembered that he fell head first. She wasn't worried about Su Ping's safety, but their parents might blame her for this. Su Ping came back to his senses. He threw a look at the proud girl, who was there holding her head high, with her arms folded in front of her chest. He didn't know what to do with her. "Don't play pranks like this anymore," said Su Ping. Since he had taken over this body, he didn't want to continue with the practical joke revenge living arranged by his sister. Su Lingyue was taken aback. Wouldn't he usually jump right up and give vent to a torrent of abuse to call me a shrew? Why is he so quiet today? Could it be he thinks I could become soft-hearted just because he wants to submit? As long as you haven't become dumb. Well, truth be told, maybe you can become smarter with your head smashed, given your poor intelligence. Su Lingyue sneered. She turned around and left right away. "Don't dawdle. Hurry up and get down for breakfast. Don't make Mom tell me to come up and get you again." Slam. She smashed the door behind her. Su Ping produced a forced smile. Why was his younger sister so violent when other people's sisters were cute and lovable girls? Whoosh. The door was pulled open again. Su Ping was startled. It was Su Lingyue who had returned. She hid her spooky face behind the door as she added, "Also, don't tell Mom on me. Or else." Then she made a cutthroat gesture. Slam. The poor door had to shoulder another strike before Su Ping could give a reply. Su Ping sat there for a while and crawled back up after he was sure no more sounds were coming from outside. He glanced around the room and saw many action figures and posters of astral pets. While he was a normal person in this world, he wasn't inferior to the average astral pet warriors regarding the studies on astral pets. Of course, This didn't stem from his great love of astral pets. This bro hated astral pets. He was only delving in such studies to find a way to defeat astral pets as an average person. To be more accurate, to find a way to defeat his sister's astral pet. However, many years had passed. He was still on the receiving end of maltreatment and contempt without the ability to fight back. One could only imagine how difficult his life had been for him to have researched this much. Su Ping had a surge of mixed feelings after he reviewed the 18-year life of this man. Not only was he a good-for-nothing, but he had also offended the only powerful person he could have latched himself to. He had been mischievous since he was a kid. He created so many troubles and fooled his sister many times. He would put caterpillars in her lunchbox or scare her in the dead of night by dressing up as a ghost. He was practically the cause of her childhood trauma. Look at the results. He had turned the girl whose coattails he could ride on into his foe. Besides, this sister of his was not a kind person. She had become his adulthood trauma for a change. Su Ping definitely had to find a chance to reconcile with this powerful sister. Otherwise, he would be traumatized or his nerves would be wrecked after a few more rounds of peculiar scares. Su Ping got himself ready. Then he put on his slippers and headed downstairs. What took you so long? The congee is getting cold. Hurry up, his mother Li Qingru said. She seemed to be in her 40s, gentle and refined. Su Lingyue had already dug in and remained by the table. She had placed the phantom flame beast named Snowball on the chair next to hers, which was supposed to be his spot. Su Ping curled his lips. Even at a simple breakfast, he could still feel such a vindictive nature coming. Su Ping went to the living room to get another chair. He took a look at the substantial breakfast with congee meat pies and soybean milk. He was getting hungry. Su Lingyue raised her eyebrows and cast a glance at Su Ping. She deliberately used Snowball to occupy his seat to provoke him so that he would get angry and scream and yell. That way she would tell her mom to scold him. Why did he bear the insult? Curious. There was some alertness in Su Lingyue's looks. Was this guy up to something by acting out of character? Mom, I'm done. I'll be heading to the academy now. Since her plan had fallen through, Su Lingyue was no longer in the mood to stay. She finished her breakfast quickly and bid farewell to her mom. When she was about to leave, Li Qingru stopped her. Xiaoyu, wait. Ah. Su Lingyue turned around. Recently, your brother's store hasn't been performing very well. It's not quite popular. How about you put Snowball there just to put on the dog? Li Qingru tried to sound her out. Su Lingyue was surprised. She threw a glance at Su Ping, who was swallowing down the congee. She rolled her eyes and grumpily reasoned with her. Mom, the business has been worsening day by day since you let this guy take over. Why do you think that is? The reason is that this guy is not attending to his proper duties. Do you still remember when someone almost filed a complaint against us at the Association of Astral Pets? Someone left a messenger bird there for the boarding service. However, it started saying F***CK, you dumb ***S to all the people it met, and it would blurt out all kinds of curse words, all in less than a week. A few days later, the bird was beaten to death, and this case remained unresolved. Do you have the courage to have my Snowball be raised by him when he can't even take care of a messenger bird? There is hope that Snowball can advance to an astral pet of the 8th rank. If you don't mind, I won't either. After all, you were the one that bought me Snowball. Li Qingru was rendered speechless. She opened her mouth but ended up sighing. If it weren't for the fact that she had to rest quietly to recuperate since she was under the weather, she wouldn't have asked Su Ping to take over the store so early. Su Ping could sense his sister's unkind glare, but decided to keep silent. He lowered his head and continued eating the congee without paying attention to Su Lingyue. She snorted, after sensing that Su Ping knew how to behave in a delicate situation. She picked up Snowball, who was still eating bones, and went back to her room to get changed and head out. A moment later, Su Ping had also finished his breakfast. As per usual, after Li Qingru told him to take care, he rode the bike to the store. It was an astral pet store. Su Ping was a dabbler trainer. His work was more related to astral pet servicing than to actual training. After all, the real master trainers could change the potential and rank of an astral pet. The master trainers enjoyed similar or even higher positions than astral pet warriors. Along the way, Su Ping saw high buildings and large mansions, just like on Earth. The only thing different was the peculiar-looking astral pets walking alongside most of the pedestrians. "I am indeed in another world," Su Ping exclaimed. Everything was like a dream, but it was every bit as real. Soon, he had arrived at his family's astral pet store. The store was at the end of a commercial street, a relatively remote location, but it used to be pretty popular. Su Ping's mother Li Qingru was an official astral pet trainer of the Federation. While she was only an elementary trainer, she was more than capable of opening a small store like this. She had loads of repeated customers. But things turned south quickly when Su Ping took over the store. Could anyone expect that a person who disliked astral pets would take good care of them? Crash. Su Ping opened the roller shutter door. He could see dust stirring up in the air when sunshine reached the interior of the store. It seemed the store hadn't been cleaned in a long time. There was a pungent smell of animal urine and feces coming from the inside. Su Ping frowned and held his breath for a bit. All of a sudden, cold mechanic sounds emerged in Su Ping's mind. A suitable soul was detected within the target range. Performing contract detection. Contract completed. Adding to the system. Completed. Ready to launch. System? Su Ping paused for a second. Then, glow burst out from his eyes. What should come was coming. Chapter 2. Ancient Cultivation Sites. As an otaku, Su Ping would spend all his days learning online. He was not a stranger to systems. Pleasantly surprised, Su Ping began to probe the functions of this system immediately. I am the Super Pet System, dedicated to cultivating the strongest pets in the world, and the motto of this system is, "Everything can be cultivated, and everything is a pet." A pet cultivation system? Su Ping exclaimed in surprise. The system sounded presumptuous. Everything was a pet. So, could flowers and the grass along the road be counted as pets as well? Flowers and grass can be pets as well, when they have intelligence and are spiritually awakened. Pets of the vegetation family evolved from common plants. The system gave an indifferent reply. Su Ping was taken aback. He glared at the air and asked, "You can hear my thoughts? I am connected with the host's soul. Of course, I am aware of my host's thoughts. Warning, first profanity alert." Su Ping fell into silence. The system has been activated. You, my host, must add a pet store that belongs to you within 24 hours. If the addition fails, the system will be removed and the memory of the day will be erased, the system added. The system would be removed? Su Ping raised his eyebrows after hearing that reply. While a system wasn't all that uncommon, it was a system nonetheless. There's a pet store right in front of me. Can I add this one? Su Ping asked telepathically. Authorized. Please confirm. Su Ping confirmed right away. After all, this pet store was owned by his family. He could do whatever he wanted with it. Addition was successful. Adjusting the pet store. Pet trough established. Nursing pen established. Window to cultivation plane established. Setup is finished. Initiating beginner's quest. 2 pets are detected in the store. Please select any one pet and enhance its strength by 3-fold within a week to reach the standard deemed as qualified by this system. As the system finished its reports, promptly, Su Ping felt the astral pet store appeared to be different than before. The previous pungent smell of urine and animal feces was gone. At the same time, the store appeared to be tidier and cleaner. The items were the same as before, but the outlook was completely new. Enhance the strength of an astral pet by 3-fold? Within a week? Su Ping wondered if he had heard the system wrong. Or maybe the system was acting up. How hard was it to enhance the strength of an astral pet? Without hunting and training day in and day out, or consuming popular brands of precious food, it was impossible. It was incredibly hard to achieve progress by 1-fold, let alone 3-fold in one try, or the 1 week's time limit. What will happen if I fail in this quest? Su Ping asked. The host must accept punishment for failure. The method of punishment will be drawn at random, including thunder punishment, purgatory punishment, extreme pain punishment, the system answered. Su Ping rolled his eyes. He could tell none of those forms of punishment were to be trifled with just by hearing the names. Can I change to another quest? Su Ping was making his final struggle. No, he was turned down ruthlessly.
Warning.
Second profanity alert. Third profanity alert. Thunder punishment randomly chosen. Hardly had the system's voice faded away when Su Ping felt a huge electric current running through his whole body. He was twitching like a zombie dancing disco. The electric current disappeared as quickly as it came. Su Ping felt a burning pain all over his body. He wanted to hurl out verbal insults, but he pushed the urge down. A wise man should know when to retreat. Never mind. I will try out the quest first. If I fail, then I have to say the system is a piece of garbage. Su Ping bit his teeth in hatred. He dragged his aching body to the pet room inside the store. As soon as he was inside, Su Ping noticed the place was more spacious. The main footprint was the same, but the score of piled-up iron cages was gone. Taking their place were 2 rows of stone cages. It was more like a strange stone array than stone cages. Several stalagmites rose straight from the ground and surrounded the 2 astral pets. The gap between the stalagmites was big, and there was no ceiling above them. The astral pets were virtually able to hop right out or squeeze through the gaps. However, the 2 astral pets were lying on the ground without the slightest intention of bailing out. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. This had to be something the system had conjured up. The pet trough the system mentioned must be this. He threw a look at the 2 pets in the stone array. Both were battle pets of the average type. One of the pets was a lightning rat, an inferior-grade battle pet of the agile type. Even in adulthood, a lightning rat would only reach the intermediate position of the first rank. The probability of lightning rats evolving was quite low. Even when they did evolve into thunderstorm rats, they could only reach the 3rd rank, which was as high as they could go. The other one was Managarm, also an inferior-grade battle pet of the agile type. When grown up, Managarms would be at the high position of the 1st rank, about as powerful as a Siberian tiger on Earth. Su Ping faintly remembered that those 2 astral pets were left in the store's pet boarding service, and were going to be picked up after a couple of days. I'm going with the lightning rat. Su Ping considered his options and chose the weaker lightning rat. This way, the room for improvement would be larger. He heard the system's voice again. Pet selected. Please choose a cultivation plane. As soon as the system finished the sentence, a surreal ray of white light suddenly appeared in front of Su Ping, and it tore apart space, forming a vertical crack that was in the shape of an eye. There was a destructive aura on the other side of the opening, able to twist anything it came into contact with. Su Ping was taken aback. Upon confirming that this thing wouldn't pose any danger to him, he asked the system, "What is a cultivation plane?" Cultivation planes are the main sites for the breeding and cultivation of pets. The host can choose a site suitable to the selected pet to cultivate it. Cultivation sites. Su Ping dug through his memory for information on this regard. The cultivation of astral pets relied heavily on the sites. Therefore, many astral pet breeding stores would rent large areas to build up cultivation sites, also known as professional hunting grounds. The larger pet stores would have such facilities as well, but with more thorough services. For small pet stores like the one Su Ping was operating, they only had to feed their customers pets and keep the place clean. Detecting pet. Lightning rat. A pet of the Thunder family. Match found for most suitable cultivation plane. Ancient Thunder Cloud Realm. Entering, yes or no? Su Ping felt baffled. Yes, I guess. Just as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt this cultivation plane's name somewhat familiar. Astral pets came from different backgrounds, but most of them were from cracks in space, or maybe some were celestial bodies occupied by beasts and animals, while other astral pets were from ancient planets. The Thunder Cloud Realm seemed to be an ancient birth site of astral pets in the Thunder family that was broken and long gone. It was said that there had been many top-level astral pets in the Thunder family, such as the Thunder Dragon of Blue Sea, the Nine-Headed Grand Thunder, and the Zephyr Beast. All of them were from the Thunder Cloud Realm. With the collapse and disappearance of the Thunder Cloud Realm, those top-level astral pets had become legends that could be rarely seen. Could it be that the place he was going to was an ancient site that was long lost? Before Su Ping had returned to his senses, he felt a strong force sucking him toward the crack with a surreal white light. The sky and earth were spinning around. Then, it turned pitch dark. When he regained his sight, he saw a blurry white mist and heard the rolling sounds of dull thunders. Su Ping was there in a daze for a moment before he felt shocked by the visuals in front of him. Was this a lost ancient site? He found himself in a vast area surrounded by giant trees. Clouds and fog were in the sky tens of meters away from the top of the trees. Lightning flashed amid the cloud and mist. Purple lights flickered as if dragons were there riding the clouds. The boundless starry sky could be seen through the thinner areas in a sea of clouds and mist. Giant planets, near and far, were visible to the naked eye, so close that the rings of planetary meteorites on their surfaces were clear and distinct. Chapter 3. Infinite Times of Death. The host has established connection to the Thunder Cloud realm. Connection valid for 3 days. During the beginner's quest, beginner's protection will be granted to the host. Unlimited number of deaths during the exploration. Temporary contract between the host and the pet has been established. Please head out on your own. Su Ping was still stunned in this vast and ancient land unveiling in front of him when he was dragged back to reality by the row of prompt messages in his mind. He came to a halt. Immediately, he noticed a line that indicated danger. Number of deaths? A bad hunch rose in his mind. All of a sudden, a huge shadow skimmed over his head. The day seemed to have become darker. Su Ping raised his head, and his pupils were instantly dilated by the sight. A pair of huge wings that could blot out the sky and cover the sun were stirring up the vast sea of clouds that seemed to stretch out to infinity. Lightning flashed and thunder roared among the dark purple wings. The countless clouds that were closest to them began to tumble over. What the hell is this? Su Ping was dumbstruck. Even a massive blue whale would be smaller than a feather of this giant beast. While he was still in shock, a strong gale swept through in a matter of seconds, swooping down from a high altitude and slashing at him like thousands of wind blades. Run. Just as this idea came to Su Ping's mind, he felt excruciating pain all over his body. His sight dimmed and darkness struck all of a sudden. Am I dead? Su Ping thought, with heavy-laden eyes. But light soon emerged as a flood. He opened his eyes. In front of him was still the vast and ancient scene, and yet the environment seemed to have changed. He was no longer surrounded by giant trees, but flourishing and tall blades of grass. He remembered the prompt message from the system. Su Ping came back to his senses. Was this the so-called unlimited number of deaths? He could die as many times as he wanted in that place? This idea brought him some relief. That being said, he felt the urge to let loose a torrent of abuse in the next second. While he wouldn't die for real, he wouldn't want to experience that pain when he thought he was going to be torn into pieces. It was too painful. System, I want to go home. Su Ping began to beg in an anguished tone. The quest has not been accomplished. An early return is not allowed. Warning. First profanity alert. Su Ping turned pale. He had to stay in this deserted world where giant beasts were running wild for 3 days? How many deaths would he have to endure? He was on the verge of a mental breakdown. What kind of system was this? Rustle, rustle. Abruptly, he heard a subtle sound. The sound made Su Ping's hair stand on end. He looked over in terror, only to realize that the sound came from the lightning rat by his feet. This little guy had followed him to that place and was shivering in fright at the moment. The little guy had also seen the giant beast that could cover up the entire sky and was surely scared to death. You poor little thing. You'll have to die many deaths for 3 days along with me. Su Ping sighed in despair. Misery loves company. Maybe he felt close to the lightning rat because of the temporary contract. He felt sorry for the lightning rat after looking at the shivering animal. Su Ping crouched down to pat the rat to calm it down. As he was patting the lightning rat, it struck Su Ping that the goal of sending him there was to train this little guy. To train the little guy so that its strength could be improved by 3 times within 1 week. It was hard for sure, but the focus in this quest should be the lightning rat. This horrifying cultivation site was prepared for the lightning rat. The quest can be finished sooner if the lightning rat reaches the desired cultivation level. I can see that this is hard, but I'll never know if I don't push the limits, can I? After this thought, Su Ping turned his sight to the lightning rat that had gradually calmed down in his hand. The jittery lightning rat slowly quieted down after being stroked by the warm hand, as if it represented a safe harbor. However, right then, the lightning rat was sensing a strong surge of uneasiness in its heart. Following this hunch, the lightning rat looked over with its little rat eyes, only to see its temporary master glaring at itself with a pair of eyes that were shimmering with terror. The lightning rat. Come on, you can do this. Su Ping grinned. The lightning rat felt chills. The lightning rat surely realized something because it began to struggle and wiggle in Su Ping's hand with great effort. While the lightning rat was an astral pet of the agile type, its strength was still greater than Su Ping's. In an instant, the lightning rat struggled itself free. Come back here. Su Ping cried out at once. But he shrank back as soon as the words were out of his mouth. This was the Thundercloud realm where ferocious beasts were everywhere. To scream and yell like this was practically a request for death. Then, he remembered he had already built a temporary contract with the lightning rat. He concentrated and immediately noticed another faint presence of consciousness running alongside his own. The first consciousness was conveying vague traces of emotions and ideas. Fear, anxiety, shock, escape. Those were from the lightning rat. Is this the power that comes with a contract with an astral pet? No wonder I hear people say that an astral pet and its master can share the same mind. It can hardly be understood without personal experience. Su Ping's eyes flickered. The power that came with the contract was something he had long wished for years back, which came with the very standard that distinguished the common public and the astral pet warriors. Squeak. All of a sudden, he heard shrill cries made by the lightning rat coming from the bushes in the distance. Scared, Su Ping ran over at once. He saw that the lightning rat was confronting a large insect near the root of a giant grass of about 7 to 8 meters in height. Its fur was bristled, and it was showing its teeth. The large insect was about 2 meters long and a green color mixed with purple patterns. Some light produced by electricity would spring out from the purple patterns. This was also an astral pet from the Thunder family. Why does it look like a caterpillar? The appearance of the large insect reminded Su Ping of such an insect. Only the former was hundreds of times more ferocious than a caterpillar. *T. We're not going to be swallowed by this insect, are we? Su Ping's blood was frozen as he saw all the sharp teeth covering the insect's mouth. Death came instantly when he was torn apart by the fierce wind caused by the gargantuan beast that could cover up the sky. If he were to fall victim to this giant insect, he would have a taste of living was no better than dying. He even wanted to commit suicide at once. However, if he did, he would be reborn in another random location later. There was one more thing. There was nothing around him that could be used as a weapon. Su Ping looked around and only found a rock on the ground. He was filled with mixed emotions. Bashing himself to death? How much strength would he have to use to kill himself with one blow? If he couldn't do it, what could he do if he remained in a half-dead state? This question was lingering in Su Ping's mind like a sophisticated philosophy conundrum. Squeak. While Su Ping was still fantasizing about the most conveniently lethal angle to smash himself with the rock, he suddenly heard a shrill scream. He looked up. The lightning rat was about to lose its life. It had been grabbed by the giant insect. The giant insect had many feet, like a centipede. The sharp edges pierced through the lightning rat's soft belly. Blood was spilling out. The lightning rat passed away after only a bit of struggle. Su Ping looked pale. He couldn't bear to look at the scene, and there were unexplainable feelings of anger. The system suddenly gave an alert. Revive pet on the spot. Yes or no? Su Ping was surprised. Seeing that the giant insect was about to stuff the lightning rat's body into its mouth, Su Ping shouted without further thinking, yes. Before the sound of his voice had died away, The lightning rat that was about to be put into the insect's maw suddenly turned into sparkles that fell back to the ground in front of the insect and took the shape of the lightning rat again. Crack! The insect missed its bite. The insect was stunned, since its prey had suddenly come back to life. The insect. Su Ping didn't offer any explanation to the insect. Since the lightning rat had come back to life, Su Ping yelled out at once, "Attack the insect!" Thanks to the emotional strength passed along through the contract, Su Ping's directions were delivered to the lightning rat immediately. The lightning rat was frozen on the spot because, in its mind, it was still seized by the terror of death. Su Ping's shout woke the lightning rat up. The obedience instinct that came from being domesticated emerged. The lightning rat rushed forward almost subconsciously. With the speed of lightning, whoosh! The lightning rat sped up all of a sudden and smashed itself against the giant insect. Bang! Due to the impact, the giant bug leaned backward. Halfway through, the insect stopped the motion. The sharp edges of its many feet moved fast. The insect grabbed the lightning rat and tore it apart in a most appalling way. The lightning rat had died. Again. Revive pet on the spot. Yes or no? Do it. Su Ping didn't give it much thought. He issued another order to strike right when the lightning rat came back to life. Since the number of revivals was unlimited, Su Ping was convinced that they would kill this giant insect eventually. While the gap in abilities between the insect and the lightning rat was vast, there was still a possibility of winning for the latter. He had to be able to grasp the tiniest chance of victory. Chapter 4: Special Skill. The lightning rat was still in shock after being brought back to life. However, it soon regained consciousness that time. After a second of hesitation, the lightning rat dashed toward the huge insect as commanded. The huge insect was infuriated, since its prey had escaped twice from its mouth. When the lightning rat was about to arrive, the huge insect spat out a sort of white secretion that spread out like a spider's web, completely trapping the lightning rat. Once its prey had been captured, the huge insect wiggled over and tore the lightning rat apart with the sharp claws. Revive. Attack again. Su Ping brought the lightning rat back to life immediately and told it to strike at once. In just a blink, the lightning rat had been brought back to life again and killed by the huge insect over and over. At the 8th time it rushed on to face the web spat out by the giant insect, the lightning rat flashed over and disappeared on the spot in an instant, only to re-emerge somewhere further apart. Thunder Flash. Su Ping shivered from fear. Was the ghost laughing? Was that one of the 10 special skills for astral pets of the Thunder family? Thunder Flash? Su Ping wondered if he was hallucinating. How could a lightning rat at the first rank comprehend a special skill of the Thunder family that was so rare it was unimaginably precious? Su Ping was surprised and confused. Not even all of the advanced astral pets of the Thunder family, such as those of the 7th or 8th rank, could master a top-level special skill of such rarity. Besides, this lightning rat was just average, even poor, so to speak. The lightning rat might not even be able to learn the middle-rank pet skills of the Thunder family, not to mention comprehend the special skills. Su Ping kept his attention on the fight to observe. After the sudden rush, the lightning rat came close to a side of the huge insect in the twinkling of an eye. The lightning rat had found a perfect soft spot. Lightning was generated around its body as the lightning rat smashed into the soft flesh on the side of the huge insect. The huge insect fell to the ground immediately. There were some burns at its fleshy spot. However, the insect was not yet entirely incapacitated. Instead, stimulated by the sharp pain, the insect began to twist and turn violently. Soon, it crawled back up and launched a strike at the lightning rat at a faster speed. Having released all the energy, the lightning rat was tired, so it was moving slowly. It died again after the huge insect strike that trapped it. Revive, Su Ping said quickly. The lightning rat came into being on the ground again. It was no longer confused and puzzled as before, as if it had gotten used to this fresh start after withstanding a short period of pain. Faced with this traumatized insect, before Su Ping gave any orders, the lightning rat had dashed over to continue the unfinished battle. Attack, injury, death, and revival. After more than a dozen rounds, the huge insect finally fell, dying with anger and unwillingness because it could no longer defeat the never-dying lightning rat. In the latter rounds, Su Ping never saw the thunder flash again. It seemed that such an attack was only a flash in the pan. He felt sorry and a bit disappointed. That being said, he knew that as long as what he saw was real, then the lightning rat could do it again in the future, since it had already succeeded once. Having taken care of the giant insect, Su Ping was able to catch a break. At the very least, he wouldn't have to be eaten up by the giant insect and experience that disgusting way of dying. Now I see that this place is dangerous indeed, but the training is productive. Su Ping took a look at the lightning rat sprawled on top of the giant insect, exhausted. After the little guy was brought back to life, its crafty movements were faster and more agile. The lightning rat even employed deceptive movements to sneak up on its opponent. The battle lasted only about 10 minutes, even though the lightning rat was lingering between life and death. It was incredible that the lightning rat could achieve such a stunning progress within such a short period. Perhaps, after 3 days, the lightning rat's strength could advance rapidly. Suddenly, Su Ping was filled with anticipation. Finishing the quest was not entirely without hope. Come on, little guy. Su Ping patted the lightning rat on its little head. He stood up, ready to search for the next target. Tired. A feeling of reluctance came from the lightning rat. Su Ping was surprised. But, recalling the arduous fight the lightning rat had put up to kill the giant insect, Su Ping felt he could empathize. Take some time to recover your strength first. Su Ping offered a kind smile. The lightning rat, who was still lying on the back of the giant insect, looked up with low spirits. It was suddenly seized by a strange feeling as it glanced at the smiling face that was moving in closer. Before the lightning rat could think, it felt a dull pain rushing in. Revive. Looking at the lightning rat that came into being again on the ground, Su Ping asked with a grin, "Has your strength recovered yet?" Su Ping had already noticed that every time after the lightning rat was brought back to life, it would return to its prime state without any signs of fatigue associated with excessive energy consumption from previous battles. Therefore, this was the best way to recover. The lightning rat's hair stood on end. This human smile was deeply engraved in its mind at this moment. Hiss! The lightning rat showed its teeth, as if warning Su Ping against such behavior. Su Ping put down the claw he harvested from that giant insect. The claw was indeed sharp. He was able to impale the lightning rat with just a bit of strength. The claw could be regarded as a handy weapon. There. Let's go. Su Ping stroked the lightning rat's head. The lightning rat ground its teeth ferociously. If it weren't for the restrictions of the contract, it would have bitten this master to death. 3 days later, a towering mountain in the Thunder Cloud realm. Cloud and mist curled around the mountainside with steep hills and cliffs. The splendor and magnificence formed a landscape painting of the deserted land that was tranquil and beautiful. On an unassuming boulder, a couple of petty lives were engaged in a fierce battle of life and death. Hurry! Use Thunder Shadow Image to distract it. Circle around to its back from the side. Use Thunder Slash to strike its side. Su Ping was standing by the boulder to communicate and give instructions telepathically. 2 figures in front of him, one big, one small, were fighting an intense fight. The big one was a cockroach-shaped monster the size of an elephant. The quick and agile being was covered with a stone carapace in the color of lime and claws like sharp stone awls that grew out from its abdomen. This was a type of astral pet living in this land of boulders, and an Earth family astral pet that was rarely seen in the Thunder Cloud realm. For astral pets of the Thunder family, those from the Earth family were their arch enemies. The small figure was the size of a regular domestic cat with purplish hair and electric arcs around its body. Its hair had wild curls like sharp needles. This was the lightning rat. Buzzing. Lightning surged. All of a sudden, the lightning rat charged toward the stone cockroach monster. Out of instinct, the stone cockroach monster chased after the lightning rat. However, right at this moment, a lighter purple flash whooshed by and appeared behind the stone cockroach monster. Soon, the stone cockroach monster felt something was off. The lightning rat that was covered in electric arcs was running forward, but that figure was getting fainter and fainter until it was reduced to a half-transparent shadow formed by lightning. It was an afterimage. Abruptly, the stone cockroach monster sensed danger. It turned around quickly, only to see a ray of glaring purple light within its sight. The lightning rat jumped up high from the ground. Lightning was gathering in increasing density around it, gradually forming a sharp blade that had concentrated strength. PFF. The blade of lightning fell. The soft spot between the gaps of the side carapace of the stone cockroach monster could not withstand this cut. The stone cockroach monster was cut into two. Green blood spilled out onto the boulder. Perfect. Su Ping snapped his fingers. The lightning rat was able to kill this astral pet of the Earth family that was a grade higher with only one life. The lightning rat was forging ahead by leaps and bounds, several times stronger than 3 days before. It was a fact. Just then, in his mind, he had received the prompt message from the system. The quest had been completed. I didn't know that we could do this within 3 short days. Su Ping exclaimed to himself. This was hardly imaginable. That being said, to achieve such an improvement, both the lightning rat and Su Ping had devoted considerable effort. They had experienced different ways of dying for over 100 times, and the lightning rat had even experienced over 1,000 deaths. Quest accomplished. Cultivation plane closing. Disconnecting host from the Thunder Cloud realm. Removing host and pet's temporary contract. Prepare for return. In the next second, darkness fell into his eyes. When the light came back to his world, the familiar scenes of the pet store emerged before Su Ping, as if a lifetime had passed. Chapter 5. Claiming the Pet. Beginner's mission completed. Host interface unlocked. Pet store is officially open for business. Establish currency conversion module. Establish chaos spirit pool for incubation module. Beginner mission rewards issued. Collect now. Su Ping came back to his senses after the familiar sounds of the system's prompt tones. His eyes sparkled upon hearing the mention of rewards. Collect, he said without demur. The host has gained elementary pet identification spell. Pet identification spell? Su Ping waited for a few more seconds, but heard no more prompt messages. He glared at the air in despair. Is that it? He exhausted himself in the 3 days of hellish torture, and all he gained was a pet identification spellbook? And it was elementary? With a Federal Illustrated book for all pets, Su Ping deemed this reward of little value or interest. Such a skill could not be more worthless. The pet identification spell issued by this system can help you gain insight into millions upon millions of types of astral pets. Your illustrated book for pets cannot compare with this. The system gave a reply in a cold voice, clearly unsatisfied with Su Ping's complaint and resentment. Su Ping stood in amazement. To gain insight into millions upon millions of types of astral pets? In his memory, even the most authoritative and comprehensive illustrated book for pets issued by the Federation only recorded information of a few millions of types of astral pets, including many astral pets that had gone extinct. Was it true that the goods generated by a system had to be the best of the best? Su Ping's feeling of resentment disappeared in no time. While this reward was not the immediate strength enhancement he expected, it was a precious skill nonetheless. Additionally, in the future, if he could go to another ancient site like the Thunder Cloud realm, he would be able to identify those ancient astral pets with a skill. After all, most of those astral pets had disappeared from people's lives, and there weren't many records of them in the Federal Illustrated book. Su Ping was choked up with emotions after having obtained a new skill, and he was eager to test it. He looked around and suddenly remembered the lightning rat. Where is that little guy? Su Ping hurried to the pet room at the back. He saw that the lightning rat had fallen into a deep sleep in one of the ancient stalagmite arrays. The 3 days of hellish training had worn the lightning rat out. It fell into a sound sleep as soon as it returned to this familiar place. Compared with 3 days prior, not much had changed in the lightning rat's appearance. There were just a couple of more strains of dark purple hair mixed with the light purple strands, and its body was leaner than before. However, The faintly discernible gloomy and violent aura of a beast that was spreading out from the lightning rat was making the Managarm and the other stalagmite array shiver in fear. It was obviously unsettled. Su Ping put his mind at ease after finding the lightning rat safe and sound. Although the contract had been ended and they could no longer exchange and communicate like before, he had become attached to this little guy after 3 days together. It was a pity that it was someone else's astral pet. He would have to return it someday. While Su Han was sighing, a prompt message suddenly popped out in his mind. Employ pet identification spell. Yes or no? Identify this little guy. Su Ping took a pause and selected yes. Lighting rat. Property: astral pet of the Thunder family. Rank: upper position of 1st grade. Combat strength: 3.6. Aptitudes: below average. Abilities mastered: lightning speed, thunder flash, thunder shadow image, thunder slash, thunder outerwear. Su Ping was surprised. Thunder flash? He saw thunder flash in the abilities mastered. Had the lightning rat learned this top-level special skill of the Thunder family? Su Ping was stunned. He didn't see the lightning rat employing the thunder flash for a second time in the battles later on. He had thought he was only having blurred visions. He didn't know that the lightning rat had indeed picked up the skill. How astonishing it was that a lightning rat of the lowest rank that could be spotted everywhere in the Federation had mastered the Thunder Flash, that not even an astral pet of the Thunder family of the 7th or 8th grade could master easily. If he told people about this, they would think he had lost his mind. This little guy is many times more valuable. Su Ping calmed himself down, although his eyes were still glowing. A lighting rat that had mastered the Thunder Flash special skill would be even hundreds of times more valuable than its peers. Not to mention the lighting rat had learned other skills. Apart from the lightning speed that was common among all lightning rats, both the Thunder Slash and Thunder Shadow image were a must for advanced astral pets. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call a lightning rat a mythical creature when it was equipped with so many powerful skills. But there was something strange. In the column of aptitude, the lightning rat was rated below average.
Why?
Sensing the questions in Su Ping's mind, the system explained calmly. The evaluation of its aptitude is based on the comparison of the data from all lightning rats born since the beginning of the endless chaos era to the present day. Host, you can trust the result. All lightning rats. Su Ping became speechless because of astonishment. Even the number of lightning rats born in the Federation every year would be beyond calculation, not to mention if they were to start counting since the Chaos era in the distant past. If so, this lightning rat could already be considered formidable with a below-average aptitude. Su Yanjing looked up. She could already see the signage of that little pet store down the street, Pixie Pet Store. In sharp contrast to the gaily shining sun, Su Yanjing's mood was cloudy and terrible. She didn't expect that she would fall on evil days. She had been forced to a tight corner at the preliminary contest of the pet tournament. This was an annual grand event of the Academy. The students would display their strengths in this event. If someone could be favored by some astral pet masters during the tournament, they would be able to enjoy better tutoring and training. This could add brilliance in their resumes when the time came to join the astral pet team. However, for 3 rounds in a row, all she met were strong opponents that were highly popular. The result was that several battle pets she took such meticulous care of had all been wounded and could no longer fight. Would she be stumped at the preliminary contest? That was unacceptable to her. She had already asked her family to spend a fortune to invite an advanced pet healer to cure one of the battle pets. That being said, one battle pet was not enough. That was her ace in the hole. She had to have a battle pet that could be the power forward and that could lure out her opponent's ace pet. If it weren't for the fact that the Academy prohibited any pets that were contracted within a month to enter the tournament, she would have bought some pets at the last minute, even though that would inflict a great burden on her mind and even cause severe problems. Anyways, she had no other battle pets available, except for the lightning rat she had left at the store's pet boarding service. A very common low-rank lightning rat. Nothing special about it. She even wanted to give it up because this lightning rat could no longer satisfy her requirements. Faced with the recent opponents, the lightning rat would be heading to its doom. Fortunately, she was soft-hearted and did not remove the contract directly. So, currently, this lightning rat was the only other battle pet that could enter the field. The lightning rat was weaker, but she supposed it could be used to feel her opponents out. Anyone here? Su Yening pushed the door open and entered the pet store. She threw a casual glance over the store. It was empty, as if the owner had moved. Is the store going out of business? Su Yening, though. Fortunately, she had come in time. Yes. Su Ping heard the voice and left the pet room at once. He saw a pretty girl standing in the store looking around. Chapter 6, Awakening. Hi. Su Ping stepped over. She was a customer, so he had to treat her nicely and politely. Hi, I'm here to pick up my astral pet. The store owner had come. Su Yening turned her looks away from the empty store and said to Su Ping, "The lightning rat that I put here half a month ago. Is it doing okay?" The master of the lightning rat? Su Ping was surprised. The memories related to this matter were dug out. Su Ping remembered at once. There was a strange look on his face. He couldn't help but throw more glances at this girl. Was she the luckiest girl? Su Ping felt uncomfortable since the lightning rat had to be returned to its original master. Part of the reason was that he had become attached to the lightning rat, and the other part was because he felt unwilling. After all, this was a super lightning rat that had mastered one of the 10 special skills. How could he just give it up like this? Well, he knew this little guy was someone else's in the first place. Su Ping felt dispirited by this and could only heave a few sighs. It is totally fine, better than fine. Come with me and settle the bills first, he said lifelessly. Su Yening was at a loss. Why did this caretaker sound strange? Was he upset? She seemed to have an idea. Don't worry. I came ahead of time, but I will pay you the foster fee as we discussed. I will pay you in full. Su Ping was not in the mood to talk to her. He took out the bill for the deposit. When he saw the digits, he felt another surge of heartache. He took a deep breath and tore the bill down slowly. He acted as if a piece of flesh had been cut off from him, and his voice was laden with a deep feeling of grief. Minus the deposit you paid, you have to give another 108. His voice was shaking, and he was almost choking. 108. Only 108. An astral pet that had learned one of the 10 special skills was going to be given away at an appallingly low price. Well, Su Yening found that something was off about the owner, but she could not put it in words. She settled the bill quickly. Here you go. Can you show me to my astral pet? She was dying to see the lightning rat and to check if it was safe and sound. After all, some pet stores would make mistakes when they were feeding the pets, which could lead to sickness. While those events were rare, she could not see such unfortunate incidents happening to her at this critical juncture. Su Ping heard the prompt tone of the money entering his account. His mouth twitched. Eventually, he stood up and turned around. "Wait here," he said. He left the counter and stepped into the pet room slowly. As he looked at the lightning rat that was napping in the stalagmite array, recalling the battles they fought side by side for the past 3 days, he felt reluctant to be parted with it. Come on. Time for you to go home. Su Ping sighed and picked up the lightning rat gently. The lightning rat was startled and woke up. When it saw it was Su Ping, the lightning rat relaxed gradually and closed its eyes, falling back to sleep. During the 3 days of desperate and cruel training, only when the lightning rat was with Su Ping could it feel secure enough to sleep. This was a force of habit and trust. Su Ping produced a forced smile. He took some deep breaths to calm himself down, and then he stepped out of the pet room. My lightning rat. Su Yening's eyes glowed as she saw Su Ping coming out with the lightning rat in his arms. She knew this was her lightning rat the moment she saw it. While the lightning rat's appearance seemed to be slightly different from before, the bond shared by flesh and blood that came from the contract could not be wrong. However, she found something strange. When she first came into the pet store, she did not feel the presence of the lightning rat from their contract, as if something had blocked it. She had no time to ponder about it. She hurried forward and took over the lightning rat from Su Ping's hands. The lightning rat was startled again. The lightning rat's drowsy eyes glowed once it saw that it was Su Yening. It threw itself into her arms happily and squeaked coquettishly nonstop. Su Ping stood by their side. The happy sounds made by the lightning rat gave him the strange urge to strangle it to death. This punk, it only knows how to squeak coquettishly when its real master is here. The lightning rat never did this with him. But Su Ping was well aware that the emotional bond sustained by the contract would exert a great influence on the astral pets. That was why the majority of the astral pets would never betray their masters. They would even sacrifice their lives for them. Come on, let's go home. Inside, Su Yening was glad that the lightning rat was still intact and was just a bit skinnier. She had heard about how some unethical pet stores would cheat on pet food to make more money. She didn't want to look further into this, just as long as the lightning rat was healthy. Otherwise, to cure its illness would take a long time. Su Yening patted its head once. She placed the lightning rat on the ground. She didn't even bother to look at Su Ping, who was standing by her side. Inside, she had given a negative rate about this store. She would never come back again. The lightning rat began to bounce around Su Yening happily once on the ground. It was over the moon, since it had not seen its master in ages. Su Yening pushed the door open and left. Soon, the girl and the pet vanished from Su Ping's sight. Su Ping looked away as the lightning rat bounced about and disappeared. He heaved a sigh. Right then, the system suddenly sent a message, detecting money entering the account. Shop opened. Beep. Money has been converted into energy points. Su Ping was stunned. Before he could check, he heard another message. Quest. Chaos Spirit Pool for incubation is ready. The host must breed a pet that belongs to himself within a week. Reward for quest accomplished. A random skill book for battle pet warriors. Punishment for quest failed. Downgrade the host's rate. When the rate is below the passing line, the host will be erased. A skill book for battle pet warriors? Su Ping was confused. He wasn't a battle pet warrior at all, and the force of the original core did not exist in his cells. The host can purchase Awakening Potion in the shop to be qualified as a battle pet warrior. The system alerted him. Su Ping was amazed. Then he gasped. Awakening Potion? He was destined to be a common man from birth. Was it possible for him to change his life? Could he become a battle pet warrior? Something had to be spelled out. Innate skills were determined at birth. Only a tiny minority could be the exception, those who could awaken their abilities later in their lives, but there wasn't even one in a million. Of course, it was said that the state had developed some potions made from special plants found in space, and such potions could greatly increase the common people's chances of awakening. Still, such potions were priced at a level that only the rich could afford. Anyone without millions upon millions would not even get a chance. As for those vastly wealthy people, who would take the risk of becoming a battle pet warrior to struggle in the front lines at the frontier, apart from satisfying their curiosities for a moment? Where is the shop? Su Ping could not wait to see this awakening potion. He was eager to acquire it. After all, whether in strength or survival abilities, there was a world of difference between battle pet warriors and the general public. A simple case in point would be Su Ping and his sister Su Lingyue. Ever since Su Lingyue joined the Academy for Astral Pets at the age of 12, Su Ping had never, not even once, gained the upper hand in close combat. He had always been defeated easily. Therefore, over the years, he had learned to use his brain instead of brawn, unless necessary. Chapter 7. 3 Services. The shop is in the host's sea of awareness. Think of it and it will appear, the system explained. Su Ping began to think about the shop. All of a sudden, a dark gray shop interface appeared in his mind, like the cabinet of a storage unit. Only 3 items could be found in there. Awakening Potion, 100 energy points. Elementary Beast Catching Ring, 100 energy points. Low-rank Astral Pet Food, 10 energy points. Information on all 3 items came up at the same time. Su Ping did not hesitate to choose the Awakening Potion at once. Purchase failed. Insufficient energy, the system cautioned him. Energy. Su Ping was surprised. Only then did he notice the purchase requirement that followed the item description. The energy points are converted from the money made by the host. The exchange rate is 100:1. The current energy stored is 1 point. Su Ping was dumbfounded.
He suddenly remembered something.
He browsed through his transaction history. Minus 100. As he expected, his account had 100 points less. They had been transferred to an unknown, unfamiliar account. This is to say, with 10,000, I can buy the Awakening Potion, right? Instead of feeling frustrated, Su Ping was excited. That was an utterly cheap price. After all, the Awakening Potion was something that could elevate a common person to an astral pet warrior in one go. If he had to buy it in the federal outposts, the price alone would be astronomical, let alone the complicated channels he had to go through. Besides, the effect might be inferior to this one. Convert all the remaining currency in my account into energy, Su Ping said at once. There were more than 20,000 in the balance of his account. Those had been transferred to him by his family for him to buy some astral pet offspring. Currency unrelated to store activity cannot be converted, the system said.
What?
Su Ping didn't understand. Is there a difference between the money made in the store and the one made in other places?
No.
Warning. Profanity alert. Su Ping took a deep breath. He clenched his fist. If so, why can't you convert money that comes from other channels? The currency conversion module is set up to test the host's own development ability. This ability will be included in the final evaluation of the host in the system explained. What final evaluation? Su Ping raised his eyebrows. The host doesn't have enough authority to know. Su Ping pushed down a certain urge and gradually loosened his fist. He had to be humble while he was trapped in an inferior situation. Lucky for me, to make 10,000 in the pet store is not a difficult task. I just need some time. If I can train a pet like the lightning rat and sell it, I can make more than 1 million, let alone 10,000. Su Ping said to himself. Given the host's current limits of authority, you can only rent pets, not sell them. The system doused him with cold water in a very timely manner. Su Ping. He couldn't sell pets in a pet store?
Warning.
Second profanity alert. The system sounded cold. A painful memory surged in his mind. Su Ping quickly cut back the ideas that were swarming out endlessly on his mind. He took a deep breath in and out. He had obtained the Zen spirit. Even if it's just renting, it's not difficult to make 10,000 every time I rent a pet as good as the lightning rat, Su Ping thought. All the services provided by the store shall be priced reasonably. The host doesn't have the right to adjust the price. The system came out again. Su Ping was at a loss. He had a bad feeling. What are the prices like? Currently, the store only has 3 kinds of services available: pet boarding, renting, and selling food. Since the host has not bought a nursing pen, the 2 existing nursing pens in the store are failed products, complimentary from the system. So, for each pet raised there, the price is 10 per hour. As for pet renting services, the prices will be set according to the rank, ability, and aptitude of the pet to be rented out. Since the host has yet to breed any pets, the prices cannot be estimated at the moment. As for the food, the host will have to go to the cultivation site to harvest food, and the price will be set according to the quality of the food. Su Ping was dumbfounded. Only 3 services were available? That was to say, no other mechanisms or services related to pets could be made available, right? Things like the pet's apparel, toys, and other services such as hair trimming for pets were the real moneymakers for a pet store, the main source of income. It had to be known that pets could do more than battles. In their daily lives, most of the time, pets would do some shopping with their masters as well as dine or watch TV together. Most battle pet warriors were willing to take care of their pets thoroughly. After all, the pets were the only ones that could accompany their masters when it came to life and death struggles. If I can only make money on pet boarding services, 1 hour is 10, then 1 nursing pen can generate 240 a day. 2 of the nursing pens will be 480, and I can make enough money in about a month. Su Ping did some math. The result was acceptable. 1 month would pass by easily. That being said, the charge for the nursing pen was higher than the market price, and it was an hourly rate. Who would come out and put their pets in pet care for an hour? System, you just mentioned that the nursing pens were failed products and were complimentary. Are there other nursing pens that would charge even more? Su Ping asked in his mind. Of course there are, the system answered at once. 10 energy points for one elementary nursing pen, which has to be sustained by 1 point of energy per day. The host will have to pay for this. It has to be sustained by my energy? Su Ping felt he had met a dark-minded merchant. That is not effective permanently? Of course not, the system replied. The elementary nursing pens are made with spirit stones, and the pets inside will be nurtured by pure anima that can improve the power of understanding and better the constitution of the pets. In that way, the pets can pick up powerful special skills more easily. Su Ping was stunned.
Was that so?
One had to know that other than using some special treasures, only advanced trainers could inspire the power of understanding in a pet. But according to the system, one nursing pen had such an effect. That was practically to say that the pet could be looked after by an advanced trainer at all times. What is the price for this kind of elementary nursing pen? Su Ping asked in a hurry. 100 per hour. The system replied. Su Ping fell into silence. In the market, averagely speaking, pet boarding would be charged at around 100 for 10 days unless the master had special requirements for extra services. Other than that, the price was pretty much the same everywhere. Considering this, 100 per hour would make 2,400 per day. That would be 24,000 for 10 days. The price was 24 times as high as that of other pet stores. System. Su Ping said all of a sudden. Yes. Can you make the price even higher? Eventually, the system turned down Su Ping's request in a cold-blooded fashion. He felt rather disappointed. The price was high, even unimaginably queer. However, as far as Su Ping could tell, such elementary nursing pens could present such benefits that even a price 10 times as higher would be reasonable. But I cannot afford such an elementary nursing pen right now. Am I supposed to drag along by relying on the failed nursing pen? Su Ping found himself in a predicament. As for the food sales, he would have to harvest it from the cultivation site first. Su Ping couldn't help but feel his mouth twitch at the thought of the many deaths he experienced in 3 days in that cultivation site. Life was too hard. Wait a minute. I've gone missing for 3 days. My family must be worried about me. This idea suddenly came to his mind and startled him. The host doesn't have to worry. The time flow in the cultivation site is different from here. Outside, only 3 hours have passed. The system sounded rather calm. Chapter 8. Chaos Incubation. 3 hours? That took Su Ping by surprise. He immediately opened up the computer nearby to check the time. The date shown on the computer was indeed the day he arrived at the store. Phew, he breathed a sigh of relief. That was good. If he were gone missing for 3 days, his mom would lose her mind. Of course, when it came to that sister of his, she might feel differently. Su Ping shook his head. He focused his mind on the store. He remembered the pet incubation and breeding quest he had just collected. Promptly, he began to search the store. Soon, he found a pond like a dried-up well in the lounge at the back of the store. That probably was the Chaos Spirit Pool for incubation the system had just added in the pet store. Am I supposed to do it here? What should I start the incubation with? Su Ping was curious. All of a sudden, the image of hens laying eggs came to mind. His expressions changed a bit. His at-ease stance gradually changed to attention. The host is still within the beginner's protection month. Only 10 energy points are needed for one use of the Chaos Spirit Pool for incubation, the system added. Su Ping was relieved. As long as he could use energy points for this. That being said, using energy was no joking matter either. 10 energy points would be equal to 1,000. Lucky for me, when I finish the mission, I can get a skill book for Battle Pet Warriors, which is to say, I can buy a skill book with 1,000. That is worthwhile. Usually, a Battle Pet Warrior had to master a skill to be enrolled into the Academy for Astral Pets. Such skills would have to take a long time, hard work, and practice to master. That was not something that merely 1,000 could buy. System. How can I make a quick buck? Su Ping asked the system in his mind. A moment later, the system gave a brief answer. The host can earn energy quickly by selling food. Selling food. Naturally, Su Ping still remembered this service. In an instant, his hair stood up and he was covered with goosebumps. I need to harvest food at cultivation sites. This cultivation site would not be some place like the Thunder Cloud Realm, would it? He didn't wish to harvest food in some places where he would be threatened by a growing crisis. He had had enough of a brush with death. He would probably not mind an instant death. What he was most afraid of was to be bitten to death, one bite after another, slowly. That would be the most horrifying way to go. The system answered, "The Thunder Cloud Realm is not the only cultivation site. It is just one among many, and it is an advanced one. Given the remaining energy the host has left, there is not enough to pay for a round of teleportation to the Thunder Cloud Realm. Host, please select a cultivation site within the allowed price range to go to. Be aware, the more advanced the cultivation site is, the higher the possibility of harvesting precious food." What? Su Ping sat up straight suddenly. Price? Energy. Warning. Second profanity alert. Su Ping's facial expressions were twisted. He had to pay to go to a cultivation site? Was the system sure that it was a super pet system? Wasn't it a zillionaire system? Su Ping felt too ashamed. He didn't want to go moments before. However, a second later, he was told that he couldn't, even if he wanted to. Besides, according to the system, he had lost a fortune. During the previous days for the training mission, he did nothing other than focus his mind on the lightning rat. He had squandered away a perfect chance to harvest food for 3 days in an advanced cultivation site of the Thunder Cloud Realm. If things were different, he would have returned with plenty of food for pets of the Thunder family. System, I blame you. Su Ping sounded full of complaints. The system remained unaffected.
You didn't ask.
Additionally, as a qualified host, you should have learned to search for everything related to pets. Su Ping clenched his teeth. Third profanity alert. Punishment drawn at random. Extreme pain experience, the system warned him. Su Ping opened his eyes wide. No. A long moment later, and after a fit of fierce shouts, Su Ping sat by the door of the pet store, listless. His looks indicated he had gone through vicissitudes.
Bang.
A coin was thrown to him. Su Ping looked up and saw a man smiling warmly at him. He was wearing a business suit, and his hair was split in the middle. Then, he could only see the back of the man after he turned around gracefully. Su Ping picked up that coin silently. He gazed at the coin and gazed at it some more. System, can this money be converted into energy?
Su Ping asked all of a sudden.
The system. No. Su Ping made an "oh" sound in a low voice. He slowly placed the coin in his pocket and stood up. He patted the dust off from his butt. Life was hard, but it had to go on, right? He went back to the store, and Su Ping read the words, "Window to Cultivation Plains," in his mind. Soon, a windowed chart showed up in front of him. Many location names were written inside, and following each location was a digit that indicated the energy required. Su Ping scrolled it down. He saw the word Thunder Cloud Realm, and the energy was 1,000. 1,000 energy points for one visit. Su Ping curled his lips. Soon, calmness was restored. He had become composed, Buddha-like. Su Ping kept scrolling the page down. He came to elementary cultivation plains. The energy required to enter such places varied from 1 to 10. What? All of a sudden, Su Ping saw a plane that was also named the Thunder Cloud Realm, but it only required 1 energy point. Did he read it correctly? Su Ping checked more carefully. The number was correct. So, did the system make a mistake? This system doesn't make any errors. The system's voice came in time. This is a fragment of the plane called Thunder Cloud Realm. The fragment is a part broken off from the Thunder Cloud Realm, maybe land from the corners of the realm, or ruins where there are no animals or plants. To go to such places would be risky. The host must be prudent. Fragment. It was until then that Su Ping finally noticed the word fragment, written in extremely small sizes. He suddenly remembered what it said in the history books of the Federation. The Thunder Cloud Realm had broken up and vanished. Could it be that this fragment was from that incident?
Then,
the one he entered was a complete Thunder Cloud Realm, but it had fallen into pieces. Why would there be an intact Thunder Cloud Realm? Su Ping had questions, but he didn't obtain answers from the system. All of a sudden, he felt this system was unfathomably strong. He thought he'd better not mess up with the system in the future. Su Ping browsed through the list and closed it. He did not choose to go in.
He was worn out.
Simply exhausted. He had died over 100 times in 3 days when he was at the Thunder Cloud Realm. That meant more than a mere digit. During almost half of the deaths, he was slowly tortured to the end of his life in the most excruciating way. Although every time after he was brought back to life, his strength would be recovered. That fatigue in spirit was becoming increasingly overwhelming. That is why the lighting rat fell so deeply asleep as soon as they came back. Su Ping closed the roller shutter door. The store dimmed down. Promptly, he lay on the desk and slept soundly. Su Yenying had returned to the academy. The large campus had large lawn areas. The green ratio was quite high. In the middle of a plaza in the distance, there were ponds and waterfalls so that some students' pets of the water family could enjoy themselves there. But at the moment, the pond was deadly tranquil. There wasn't a single pet there. In a campus as large as an airport, there were foul souls scurrying about. It was dead silent everywhere. Su Yenying did not find this strange. Naturally, she knew where everyone had gone. There was a huge stadium-like venue at the end of the plaza. At the moment, the sounds of people cheering were coming out of this place. Even people standing at the gate of the academy could faintly hear that sound. The afternoon match was still ongoing. "Hurry up," Su Yenying said to the lighting rat that was following her. Then, she sped up and pressed forward. She had wasted too much time on her trip to the pet store. Luckily, her match was scheduled for later in the afternoon. It would start at around 4. That being said, if the competitors in the matches before hers were to fail too quickly, her match would be moved up. Chapter 9. Thunder Slash, 7th rank skill of the Thunder family. 1. Soon, Su Yenjing arrived at the Astral Pet Combat Stadium. Su Yenying did not wear the academy uniform, but the guard recognized her. He let her in before she presented her student card. Pyro Cut. The Pyro Canine has used the Pyro Cut. Such a shame that the Pyro Cut did not hit its target. The Fire War Monster dodged the strike. Wait a minute.
No.
The Pyro Cut is turning around. Good heavens, the Pyro Cut is traveling back. Su Yenying heard the judge shouting in excitement as soon as she stepped into the stadium. His voice could be heard throughout the entire venue. It was loud enough to wake the dead. At the same time, people were thrilled and shouting on the spectator seats on the sides of the entrance corridor. This was of no surprise to Su Yenjing, who kept her calm. Such a view couldn't be more familiar to her. She looked around and found the seats of her class. Class 2, Grade 3. She hurried over. Halfway through, she suddenly remembered that her pet, lightning rat, was still behind her. That little guy, she had never brought it to such a grand event. Would it be scared by this magnificent scene with tens of thousands of people shouting their lungs out? Su Yenjing turned around at once, only to find the lightning rat was still close behind her. When she stopped, it stopped as well, and the lightning rat raised its head to look at her. She could see confusion in those small eyes that were only as big as a crack. It was unaffected. Inside, Su Yenying felt she could breathe again. Pets weren't like the average wild animals. Pets had basic thinking and awareness abilities. A pet that was more timid would most likely be immobilized from fright in situations like this. Time was pressing. She had just picked up the lightning rat. She didn't have time to train with it or give it some time to adjust. Su Yenying was gladly surprised to see that the lightning rat was courageous and fearless. "Ying, where have you been? I couldn't find you anywhere. You frightened me there." Lan Lele, Su Yenying's friend, had spotted her as soon as she arrived at her class seats. The former ran over at once. "I went to pick up my astral pet," Su Yenying said as she followed Lan Lele to the seats of their class. Su Yenying threw a glance at the games and asked, "Which one is it now?" "The 4th one. You're almost up, just after Ice Jung finishes her match." Lan Lele pouted her lips to point at the back of someone with black hair in front of them. Both that person and Su Yenying were the center of attention in the class. Over time, due to the influence of such an environment, those two students had grown to be quite competitive. Since Lan Lele was Su Yenying's friend, she naturally didn't have nice feelings about that student.
Oh.
Su Yenying nodded. She didn't mind this and kept her gaze on the matches. Then Lan Lele noticed the lightning rat that was eating the fruit peels on the ground near Su Yenying's food. This is the lightning rat that you sent out for pet boarding, right? Is it starving? Why is it eating anything it can find? Lan Lele sounded surprised. Hearing her words, Su Yenying turned around. Her expression changed as she saw the lightning rat that was holding a piece of fruit peel, eating happily. Drop it. It's too dirty, said Su Yenying while she used the power of the contract to send across her instructions at the same time. As a person with a morbid fear of getting dirty, she could never tolerate seeing her pets eating garbage on the ground. In the meantime, this reminded her of that pet store, that vicious businessman. When the matches were over, she would go to the Association of Astral Pets to file a complaint against that store. Sensing Su Yenying's orders, the lightning rat stopped, blinking its googly eyes. Lan Lele took a look at the lightning rat. Something came to her mind. Are you going to have it join you in this match? She looked at Su Yenying, stunned. Of course. Su Yenying remained composed. Lan Lele opened her beautiful eyes wide. Have you lost your mind? This is the annual pet tournament. The pets that can join in the matches should be at the second rank or higher. Aren't you sending the lightning rat to its death by taking it with you? The Academy has rules that no casualties are allowed in the matches. The judge will call it off in time in case of potential danger, Su Yenying replied. Even so, say the lightning rat doesn't lose its life, but what would be the benefit of sending it in? This is just a pet at the intermediate stage of the first rank. Any pet out there can defeat it. Lan Lele was baffled. I know. Su Yenying was determined and resolute. But don't forget about the Battle Pet Warrior special skill I mastered, third rank strength augmentation. The lower the rank of the pet, the better the effect of my strength augmentation will be. I should be able to boost the strength of the lightning rat to the intermediate stage of the second rank. With my skills and instructions, the lightning rat can fight other pets. Lan Lele naturally knew about the capabilities of this friend of hers to a T. Didn't you say that you asked your family to get you an advanced healer to help you recover the strength of that Fang tiger? Why don't you work with it instead? Said Lan Lele, still puzzled. Everyone else believes it was injured during the previous battles. It is my ace card now. I cannot expose it so quickly. Su Yenying lowered her voice. Lan Lele finally understood. She heaved a sigh. Speaking of which, you are so unlucky this time. You've met too many difficult opponents at the beginning of this tournament. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in such a predicament. Su Yenying kept silent. She didn't offer a reply. At the same time, this round of matches had just ended. The one that was using the Pyro K9 won. Both parties went off the stage. In the meantime, the girl that was called Ice Jiang by Lan Lele stood up slowly. She was immediately on the receiving end of the passionate stares from the boys of their class, as well as some glares from some that were gnashing teeth in hatred. That girl sure is lucky. All her opponents are rookies, Lan Lele said, resentfully. Su Yenying frowned a bit. Still, she kept silent. A few minutes later, the battle on the stage had finished. The girl that looked as cold as ice stepped off the stage slowly. Su Yenying felt when that girl threw her a glance. That glance spoke volumes, as if Ice Jiang was telling Su Yenying not to let her down. Su Yenying clenched her fist. She looked even calmer on the outside. Time to go. Su Yenying said this to Lan Lele and the lightning rat with her. The lightning rat noticed that its master's mindset seemed to have been altered. The lightning rat stood up straight, and a keen look flashed in that pair of small eyes. And yet, nobody would throw a look at the eyes of an inferior lightning rat. Not a single person noticed that dangerous aura hidden within. Along the aisle, Su Yenying walked to the stage in the middle of the venue. She made her way up, step by step. The lightning rat jumped and hopped behind her. She stood quietly in the spacious stadium, amid the looks thrown at her from all sides. There was no trace of fear on this girl's face. In her eyes, there was pride and composure. Su Yenying from Class 2, Grade 3. The judge announced her name at once and continued in a thrilled tone. Now, let's shift our attention to the screen and find out who will be Su Yenying's opponent. Everyone shifted their looks to the huge score screen hung above the ground. A string of images flashed past, and then stopped in one. *T. Lan Leilei's expression changed the moment she saw the image. It was Zhang Xiao from Class 7, Grade 3. That was quite a formidable opponent. Zhang Xiao could be counted as one of the best in the class. Su Yenying was surprised as well. How bad her luck was. How come she had to compete against another tough opponent? Soon, her opponent was also up on the stage. That was a young man of about 1.75 meters in height, with black hair and a fierce glance, wearing a valuable wristwatch. This was a rare mix of a wild and refined young man. Su Yenying from Class 2? Zhang Xiao could not help but chuckle as he saw his opponent. I must be in luck. I heard that all your pets have been injured during the previous battles. TSK. Is the little rat there all that you've got now? Su Yenying's face was clouded and her heart was weighed down.
Comment.
By the stage, the judge announced the commencement coldly. Best 2 out of 3. Each party can only send in 3 pets to participate. No malicious wounding is allowed. Now begin. Zhang Xiao smiled. He reached out his hand and made a grasping gesture to mobilize the contract power. All of a sudden, the space in front of him began to twist slightly. Right after that, a figure that was burning in black flames landed on the ground. Second rank, Power of the Blast. A faint white glow emitted from Zhang Xiao spanned around like a vortex on the 4 limbs of that figure surrounded by black flames. This skill was the most basic augmenting skill that a battle pet warrior should master. Chapter 10. Thunder Slash, 7th rank skill of the Thunder family. 2. That is the Dragon Hound.
This is such a surprise.
Zhang Xiao from Class 7, Grade 3, has sent out Dragon Hound, a pet of the demon family that is incredibly hard to tame, right at the beginning of the match. This is a pet that can reach the upper position of the 3rd rank in adolescence. Now, Zhang Xiao is using it at the very beginning. Is Zhang Xiao trying to win the game with a 3 o'clock score? The commentator sounded surprised to see the pet that Zhang Xiao summoned from his contract space. It was somewhat mean to fight an inferior lightning rat with such a powerful battle pet. Dragon Hound. Su Yenying was taken aback. Not only was the Dragon Hound violent and cruel, but it was also said that Dragon Hounds shared bloodlines with the Hell Dragon, a king beast. The Dragon Hound could release Roar of Flames, which could carry the powers of dragon's howls. Such skill could overwhelm pets of an inferior rank. The latter would be scared half dead before they even began to fight the Dragon Hound. Was he trying to disgrace her by deliberately threatening her when he was well aware that she was using the lightning rat? Su Yenying clenched her hands. She took a deep breath.
So be it.
She sent out the lightning rat just to feel out her opponent and to probe for his ace card. The fact that her opponent was underestimating her meant that the lightning rat had half succeeded in its mission. Roar! The cries of dragons suddenly came out. The Dragon Hound that was nearly 3 meters tall, bigger than tigers and lions, let out an abrupt bellow, carrying a strong deterrent force. The roar lingered on in the entire venue. Su Yenying's pupils contracted a bit. She felt that her heart was uncontrollably pounding fast. Not only could the roar of a Dragon Hound deter low-rank pets, it could also intimidate the more timid battle pet warriors. After all, its enormous body with magical flames surging around could give out a strong visual pressure. But Su Yenying was not a coward. Plus, she had confronted more powerful pets in her daily training, so she could deal with this pressure. She was ready to tell Lightning Rat to come back and send out her ace card, the Fang Tiger. All of a sudden, some electric arcs were generated with a buzzing sound. The purple light produced by electricity appeared in her sight. Su Yenying was astonished. She lowered her head. The lightning rat that was by her foot had jumped to the center of the stage before she knew it. That small body stood in front of her, surrounded by electric arcs, as if wearing a suit made of lightning. That little guy did not show any intention of escaping, even though it was facing the Dragon Hound. The lightning rat would have to hold its head up high just to look at it. It is not afraid? Su Yenying was startled. The low-rank lightning rat was born to be a kind of pet that was more timid in nature. At the moment, such a pet was standing in front of her, showing its teeth at the dragon hound. It was as if the lightning rat was defending something, protecting something. Come back. 2 seconds later, Su Yenying suddenly came back to her senses. She shouted to the lightning rat at once. Yes. When Zhang Xiao he frowned when he saw that thing enveloped by electricity standing in front of the dragon hound. How come that little thing was not paralyzed from fright? His original plan was to bring shame to Su Yenying. It was a surprise that this little thing sabotaged his intentions. Kill it. Zhang Xiao gave the instructions telepathically. Roar. Ferocity was in the eyes of the dragon hound. Another sound was squeezed out from its mouth that was filled with horrifying fangs. The dragon hound felt its authority challenged since this little guy was not scared. Flames were rolling around the dragon hound who had opened its mouth, and it breathed out dragon flames. Those dark magical flames fluttered out like pythons. The flames swept across the stage, reaching the lightning rat in an instant. Whoosh! The lightning rat was enveloped by the passing of the magical flames. Immediately, Su Yenying turned ghastly pale. Zhang Xiao snorted. Right at that moment, he noticed a faint purple glow from the corner of his eyes. Surprised, he turned around, only to see a figure surrounded by lightning rushing toward them at an incredible speed. It was traveling too fast. All Zhang Xiao could see was a ball of lightning charging at him. The dragon hound seemed to have sensed the danger. It turned around at once and breathed out a ball of magical flames. Whoosh! The ball of lightning made a turn rapidly and dodged the strike. Then, another ball of magical flames was discharged. Whoosh! The lightning rat jumped up again and slipped away. At that moment, people could finally have the visual. The thing in the ball of lightning was that low-rank lightning rat that should have been consumed by the dragon fire. How is that possible? Someone cried out in alarm. That's the lightning rat. The moment the commentator saw it clearly, he found himself dumbstruck. Oh no! Use the flames to tear it apart. Zhang Xiao shouted at one as he came back to his senses. Having received the instructions from its master, the dragon hound showed its teeth. Flames with magical powers were attached to its body. The dragon hound's 4 limbs exerted great strength. Being facilitated by the second-rank power of the blast, the dragon hound's speed was accelerated. In an instant, the dragon hound had charged at the lightning rat that was dashing towards it. Roar! The dragon hound's white, sharp fangs were enough to instill fear. Those fangs could crack stones. It opened its mouth, ready to take a bite at the lightning rat. The lightning rat did not flinch. A cold glare was bursting from its squinting rodent eyes. The lightning around its body quickly converged above its head. The moment the dragon hound was about to lacerate the lightning rat, the lightning convergence was quickly coming to an end, taking the shape of a sharp sword from the compressed energy. In the spectator's seat, someone stood up. Thunder slash. Buzzing, buzzing. Lightning flashed, and a gale was whooshing. That sword of lightning was hacked at the mouth filled with teeth that was about to swallow the lightning rat. Crack. It was as if the lightning were exploding. With the loud sound, the entire venue began to shake. That glaring lightning stung the eyes, just like the core of a planet that had blasted away. When the lightning disappeared, the glaringly white light faded away from people's sights as well. Soon, everyone could see the stage again. For a moment, people were gasping in astonishment one after another. In the large stage at a corner, that huge dragon hound had fallen, and it was twitching. Smoke was rising from its burnt body. Right next to it was Zhang Xiao, who had collapsed on the ground in fright. His face had turned pale. Next to the dragon hound was a small guy that was still covered in lightning. It was stepping back to where it came from. It was that lightning rat that caught no attention. A short period of silence later, there was a burst of passionate cheers at the venue. The battle was marvelous. Who could have expected that a dragon hound of the demon family could have lost, and to a common lightning rat no less? But as of this moment, nobody believed that this lightning rat was anything common. Su Yenying felt she was a bit absent-minded while she looked at the lightning rat that was coming back to her. Did she win? Did the first-rank lightning rat defeat the dragon hound? As a student of the Academy of Astral Pet, she felt all her accumulated knowledge had been disrupted. Guys, did you see that? On a row of seats by the stage, some people that appeared to be powerful were sitting there. The vice president of the academy was at the end of this row. Sitting in the middle of the row, a woman with red hair said, "Yes, that has to be Thunder Slash." She was dressed in strange armor, and there was a long, slanting brown scar on her delicate and beautiful cheek, which was a frightening sight, but the eyes of those around her were still demonstrating their admiration of her. That is a 7th-rank skill of the Thunder family. Well, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. It is such a surprise that this little lightning rat could learn a skill that not even the advanced pets can master. On her side, someone with a strong figure chuckled. That is such an admirable talent. If this little guy can evolve to a 3rd-rank thunderstorm rat, I believe it can be a match for other pets at the 4th or 5th rank. It is a pity that this is just a lightning rat of low rank. The effect of it using such an advanced skill of the Thunder family is still limited. If it were other pets with more potential, then its value would be beyond imagination. Maybe even I would be interested in such a pet.